Welcome to episode 8 of the Ultimate Stealth Van Build. In this episode I make some great progress. I completely finish all the wall framing, add some more insulation, and the 4-way stretch carpet arrives, which I've been really excited to actually start. So grab a coffee, strap yourselves in and get ready for episode 8. Slightly different start to this episode. We're at the stage of the van build where there are lots of little bits to do. I kind of wanted this series to be defined by an episode per kind of major task. However, that's actually proven quite difficult to do. There's so much things to think about kind of as you go through the build. Before putting in this piece of paneling, I need to do this, but before I do that, I need to do this, and then I need to think about kind of the height of this, or the depth of this, or where's this insulation going to go, or what type, or whatever it may be. So these couple of episodes are a little bit kind of all over the place, but I think once we've got paneling in place, then I'll be able to do a few episodes where it's like, properly structured, building the cabinets, building the bed, etc. So I'm going to jump into the van now, finish up doing a bit more of the bits, a bit more insulation, glue down the solar panel grommet box thing on top, a bit more of the framing down the side of the van, particularly where I want the bed to kind of be attached to, or the sofa. Loads of stuff to get done still. We'll soon be ordering the fan, probably tonight, which I'll then need to cut out once it arrives, cut out the roof, make a hole in the roof. Start ordering some of the other slightly more exciting bits, so the electrical components, all the batteries, the solar panels, the plugs, sockets, lights, all that good stuff. Excellent stuff. This is now foiled up. I'm going to be sawing up the battening that will hold the rear portion of the roof paneling that's going to kind of slightly slope downwards until it hits here. This section's all going to be carpeted and partly covered over here by the kind of rear section of the cabinets, the floor to ceiling cabinets that are going to be in this section. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut a length of the battening and run it from here to the other end, roughly around there. We'll kind of sit it snug, so it actually sits there. What's then going to happen is that ceiling is going to kind of run underneath and get screwed into the lower portion of this battening all the way along. I'll just mark the middle just so I can align them properly. God, I love eyeballing stuff. I am anticipating not being able to get these screws to bite into the metal, so may require another way of doing this. Okay, after much struggling, I managed to get one in. I basically had to take it off, deepen the pocket holes. The screws just aren't long enough, I think, so. Second one in. Now, I mentioned earlier doing little bits at a time. I'm just popping in an extra support here. I think this is roughly where the height of the kind of L-shape sofa slash bed is going to be, which I've changed my plans slightly on how I'm going to do that, but that'll be in a later video. I think tying it into the plywood and the frame behind here will give it that extra rigidity. So we'll just pop in some little holes and go from there. So another one nice and solid. There we go. Looks good. Happy days. While I'm here, I think I'll put another one across here, as this is where people are going to be leaning against, so I don't want any flex in the plywood. for this second panel, there's a little bit less metal to attach things to. So I'm just going to go for one single vertical support down the middle. I think that'll be fine. Progress update from the rear of the van. Left hand side battening complete, as you just saw. Really it's just strengthening it out, as this is a point of, I guess, lean where people will be sitting against. Right hand side, that's all I'm going to need to do. It's going to be behind cabinets. There's going to be the 100 litre water tank sitting here. Nothing's going to be coming against that. Absolutely fine. Battening on that front right section, already complete. Don't need to touch that. The two sections that I'm kind of putting off, here and here, are still yet to be completed. I'm really not sure how I want the battening to go. Vertical, horizontal, whether I have to inset it and slope the battens, or if I use plywood or if I use this roof battening. Big decisions. I'm still going to think about this over the rest of today. On top of that, today I've had the delivery of some extra polyester fibre insulation, a little bit like the stuff that's in there. Good news, I'm going to finish the door and the tailgate behind me with that insulation. So I'm just going to sit here with the door open, kind of resting against my legs. Nice easy access. We'll start by filling the bottom section of the door. I think it's one long strip, so I can just get a 10 centimetre strip across the bottom, and then we'll start packing it up. And as we get to these open spots, I'll use the glue to hold it in place. The stuff feels incredible. It's like a really thick duvet. Nice and warm. Stuff is pretty satisfying to do, to be fair, although I made the rookie error of not wearing gloves on the first spray. Sprayed my hands, now I have fluffy fingers. Insulation on the tailgate complete. I think what I'll do is probably seal all this in with the foil insulation as well, just to keep it all compacted in. And on top of that we'll have the plywood panelling screwed in some way. Cleared this side of the van a little bit, and we're just going to move on to the side sliding door, insulating it. I can see there's quite a few wires here that I think are mechanical, so when you unlock it or pull the handle it must pull the wire inside, so I'm going to try and steer clear of some of that. However, there's lots of gaps to fill with the fibre. Loads and loads and loads of small gaps in this one. Just need smaller hands to get up there. Okay, reasonably happy with that. A little bit messy, a few gaps, but I think it'll be fine. I'm going to be covering that in silver foil and obviously paneling it as well. This B&Q insulation stuff doesn't like glue on your gloves. It absolutely sticks to it. That's the only downside. However, there's no bits like floating around like the Dodo fleece stuff over there. Got a couple of lamps on because we are in the dark at the moment. We're coming along quite nicely. I'm going to do one more panel or beam on this bit section here to take us up nearly to the edge, and then I think I'll leave it there for tonight. I've done quite a lot today, but yeah, it's looking nice and solid. Yes, it's going to curve, you know, upwards, inwards. If you look at the angle of the, let's have a look, see if this camera captures it. See, it's slightly sloped upwards. However, there is going to be essentially the seat back here, you know, the foam padding, so that'll take it pretty flush, in line with the panelling. Pleased with that. Done for the day. Quick recap. So we obviously battened up this top section, reinforced this lower section, insulation in the doors, a little bit more foil insulation across some of the top beams and things, and then if I spin round, foil insulation and some of the fibre insulation inside it. Obviously I've not finished foiling that, I'm not going to do it today. Loads done on the stealth fan today. Hopefully tomorrow or the day after I'm going to pick up the wood panelling for the sides and the roof, and then tonight I'm going to order the lights and a couple of other bits that I need. for when I've actually got the panelling, because I'm going to need to work out where all the sockets are going to go, how I'm going to mount them, etc., where the cables are going to run to, obviously before I stick up the roof. Back on the roof on this glorious day. It's about 11 degrees and sunny, which is quite nice, obviously in the Lake District. So I'm going to take this opportunity to stick down the solar grommet protector thing on top. Sorry if you can hear that helicopter, I think it's maybe mountain rescue. We've got our weight on this big rock, sticksall, grommet. Let's just go around the rough area and then we'll see what happens from there. On the underside of this, there's actually a little kind of well in there, which I'll fill up. Again, the more the better. I can just wipe it all off. Cool, pretty easy to do. Rocks on, silicone up around the outside. Takes 2 minutes. Yeah, not too bad. No water's getting in that for sure. I might, again, when it's dry, just go around silicone up the whole area again. Left a bit of cable out. I can actually pull this in and out quite easily, which is good. Sawing up a small horizontal little beam just to put through there to secure in the top section of this. Super rigid anyway. Attached it there and there. Yeah, just giving that extra support up here. Not bad at all. Right, vertical support down there. Let's go. Okay, I think I've actually done it. Look at that. That is not terrible. Not attached yet, but what I've done is carve out a funky shape. You can see how it curves up on this side here, in line with the kind of curvature of the van, and then slopes towards the end here. Just used the jigsaw, did it in bits, and then kind of took it off jigsaw, so anyway, fits the van. So I'm going to probably have to glue it. I could attempt to screw it, I just don't want to split the wood. I have to be very careful. I'll give it a go. Fuck it. We'll screw it at the top, glue it down the bottom, and very carefully try and self-tap it into the metal. Okay, it just about worked. A little bit slippy with the glue, but I think it's needed. Slightly split the wood down the bottom. I think it'll be okay. What I'll do is I'll put a horizontal beam across here to stop it moving around. Well, stop it from splitting the rest of the wood. When you've actually got a plan that works, it makes life 10 times easier. You can see I've pre-screwed the self-tapping screws in, ready to go up. I suppose if you're building multiple vans, you could just pre-cut or pre-measure all these bits of wood and just actually have them good to go, ready to screw in. success. Both sides officially battened out. Roof's also complete, minus the very far end batten, which I think I'll probably do now. However, we are now ready to accept the wall panelling, which tomorrow I'm going to go get. I've also ordered the carpet for the columns, the rear columns here, possibly even that wheel arch, maybe that wheel arch, but that's going to get covered by the water tank. Another lovely sunny day in paradise. So we've actually had one of the deliveries arrive today, but I'm still waiting on the carpet for the pillars. So as you've seen, I've just been finishing up bits and pieces here and there whilst I wait out the carpet and the wood, which I'm going to pick up tomorrow. Now, something I've had in today is my ceiling lights, 6 of them, as you can see here, LED ceiling lights, and another reel of the twin cable, 10 meters. I'm getting my cables and things from Wired Campers. Has everything I need basically. In terms of the LED ceiling lights, I've got these really nice, like thin recessed LED lights that go with that junction box that I've also ordered, and I think you guys have seen in previous episode. This is the junction box here. So it actually takes 12 lights. These just easily plug into there. It's actually both cables, positive and negative. So I'll be running this up through that cable up there, if you can see that, and then that will sit in the ceiling, fixed in somehow, and then all the wires will run off it into the LED ceiling lights, which will look pretty cool. So something else I finished off camera was the battening for the last portion of the front here. So you can see final roof beam there comes into battening here. Now the way I've done this, 3 sections of wood, 1, 2, 3, self-tapper screws into kind of the beam there. So what's going to happen is the wood sheet is going to run along this way and slot into here and be screwed into the bottom of these of these battens here, and so the roof will actually kind of just sit into this fabric headliner. Now I've got a couple of important wiring jobs to do before any wall panelling goes on, and that is to get the video connector cable for the rear reversing camera in place, feeding it through the wall just until somewhere down there for now, before I start sealing off this area. And then now I've got a load more cable as well. I've got a couple more appliances that I need to kind of wire up, so probably another USB port somewhere over there. Oh actually, and also the power cable for the reversing camera as well. Both cables, the power cable and the video RCA cable, thread through the conduit. Now I'm going to be feeding this through the roof behind me, down the column, and then behind the wall. Important day today. We've had the van carpet delivered. So the carpet that's going to be going on the pillars and the wheel arches, and any exposed metal is going to get covered in 4-way stretch carpet in anthracite colour. So it should be like a charcoal black. which will go with the theme of the van. So I've got 5 meters by 2 meters of the carpet, which I think is more than enough. I don't actually have too much to carpet. I'm going to be starting with some easier sections first. At least I hope they're easier. Well, they're sections that if I get it wrong, it doesn't really matter. It'll be a good place to practice. So that section first is going to be the wheel arch that's going to sit underneath the water tank. So I'm going to do that section first and hopefully learn as I go. Should be a really nice day today. I think it's set to be about 17 degrees max temperature. Nice. Perfect day to do this. Nice looking colour. It's kind of fluffy on that side, which will be the facing inside, and then it's smoother on that side, which will hold the adhesive. Looks like absolutely loads of carpet. I'll lay it out, kind of get a rough section of it, and then cut it into kind of a rough shape, and then we'll kind of go from there and work out what's going to happen next. Perfect. Now what the hell do I do? Very good. So what I'm going to have to do, probably hold this up and spray little bits, let it kind of air dry a little bit. Take that for a first attempt, at least on that side it's done. A few creases at the back here, but that's going to be behind panelling, so as long as this front section here is fine, I think it'll look great. Both sides done. It's pretty cool. Let's give this a trim. Going to need a fresh blade, I think, on the Stanley knife. Super pleased with that. First attempt, not bad at all. I think the hats off to the carpet, it's nice and stretchy. 15 minutes, done. Stuck on well. It's nice, it's got a bit of squish with the foil behind it. Yeah, looks great. Okay, what I've just done here is cut a nice long section that's going to go from here up, round, back down again without any breaks in the fabric, which would be really nice. That's one of the key ones to have cut and with no breaks, because obviously that's going to be pretty visible. So yeah, I just wanted to get that cut now. Okay, I've cut the piece to the size roughly for the column, floor to ceiling. However, I'm going to have to tuck all these wires back in the column to obviously stretch the carpet over, and then I'll be able to cut little slits, fold the carpet inwards, and then pull these wires back out, and it'll look nice and flush. I'm then going to make some sort of, you know, like fabric lined cover for that, just allowing the conduit to poke through, but that's a task for another day. I'm genuinely amazed actually how well this stuff works. You can see how it's like creased it around the wood. Obviously I started cutting it there because I don't actually want it to be glued onto the wood, as that's where the plywood's going to sit. That's going to sit flush basically up to here with a little trim on the edge to hide it, so that'll look really nice. Yeah, goes around these corners really well. I can see why people do the whole van and this stuff. Quite easy. I'm hoping it looks as good on camera as it does in person. That looks pretty cool. Very impressed. Right, let's cut out the little hole here. Finish this collar up. Nice tidy little hole. No pun intended. Those two done. Time to repeat on the other side. I'm not going to film it all because it'll just be the same thing. Yeah, so we'll get stuck in. Right, so I've peeled off the rubber water seal thing, and I've cut the full length of the fabric to run around the whole thing. Folded it in half. I'm just going to start on one side, work my way down, and then do the other side. So I've sprayed this section here. I'll align it with where I've sprayed on the metal, roughly halfway. That back here. And we'll just start rubbing it in. Stuff's very satisfying. It's actually way more forgiving than I thought it would be in terms of its stretch. It is incredibly stretchy. So you can see here that's this kind of holding piece in place. See if you can catch the light, there we go. Curves nicely around. It'll be tucked into the rubber seal. Obviously I'll cut it nice and close. Yeah, that'll look really good. Just gonna let this dry for a sec. Just so it kind of holds it while I work on the corner. Right, that is fully glued and curved round that half. Looks very nice. Just need cutting the edges, trimming it off. Incredibly pleased with that. Full length, uninterrupted, no breaks. Nicely jammed into the waterproof seal. Hopefully the light is kind of picking this up. I don't know, it's a bit too bright in the background. All the way down to the other side. This side's obviously tidy. This side doesn't really need to be because it's going behind panels and the roof, etc. Yeah, looks excellent. Super pleased with that. And just like that, 7 holes and the wires back through. I don't know if it's too dark now to see with the dark fabric. Really good though, because it kind of hides any imperfections. Although I must say, there aren't that many imperfections. I think I've done it quite well. But yeah, fabric V1 complete. We will be doing some more fabric. I think likely on the panel by the bed, just to give it that like nice smooth comfortable feeling, although kind of tempted maybe to panel it in leather, like a nice brown colour to go with the vibe of the van. However, I'm going to save that for future videos. But yeah, that's most of the fabric done for now. Again, might be a bit on the top column. I might box that out, fabric the box. Not really sure yet. But yeah, time to move on. It's looking good.